Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Yeah, that's right. Saturday mornings. Thanks for carving out a couple of hours for some infotainment, Florida Talk Real Estate style, and it's great to have you with us, whether you're tuning in on the old terrestrial radio, 92.1 or 101.7. Thank you very much. Maybe you're using your free download, your iHeartRadio app, and that makes us worldwide. Thank you for being with us. Or quite possibly you're joining us on a live stream right out the gates on a Saturday morning. You can do that, and you can join in whenever you'd like. Live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Florida Talk Real Estate. You're going to search them up on both. Of course, Facebook, lots to be had there. And, of course, on YouTube, that is a source of a ton of informational chunk videos for you. Florida Talk Real Estate on both. And remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com, your one-stop real estate shop. When we're live, you got a toll-free number to air your question, your comment, your concern in the world of real estate at 877-927-6969. I'm your boy, Johnny C., your air traffic control, the one answering that phone there. If you make that call, you take that call, well, you know what I'm saying. Make it, we'll take it. I think I'm saying it right. Jimothy is our producer extraordinaire. He gonna pick it up first and foremost. Good morning, Jimothy. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing mighty fine, John. Hope you are as well. And good morning to the gang.
Well, I guess my mouth's not working totally well this morning, but hopefully it'll get
well,
going.
you're going to need that.
Exactly. Hopefully it'll get going here. Again, I'm your boy, Johnny C. Let's say good morning to the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Nice to see you, Mike Rauch.
Live and direct in person.
That's what I'm talking
Good morning.
about. Hey, your mouth seems to be working pretty good.
Well, I only said a couple of words so far. Give me a chance. Yeah. Give me a chance.
I'm throwing the kudos out way too quick. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Totally understand. Nice to have with us back in the studio. I think we're determining it's been about 3 years since we actually were close enough to touch. What's up, Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach.
Juno, that's right, man. It's good to see everybody. I felt a little nervous, like coming in and like it, being in front of this big setup. It makes it, more real than just sitting in front of your computer,
It's so funny. I think we all had the first day of school jitters last week too. So
yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling them too.
First day of school.
But good to see everybody like in person again.
Yeah, it is good. And it's great to have you with us in the studio. And we are back in the Real Radio studio after a long hiatus. So it's good to have all the smiling faces around us, including that of our fearless leader. I've told you for 11 years now. And Jim DiPaola runs the top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations, you find the Florida Home Pros team. And, of course, on a Saturday morning, Florida Talk Real Estate, you hear the melodious tones of Jimmy D. How you be, my friend?
Good, Johnny. Can everybody hear me? Because
Yes.
I'm having technical difficulties. Okay.
Technically, your difficulties are all to your own.
Okay, good. That's good. I want a happy South Florida, everybody. I'm still getting used to this tech stuff. It's not working very well. We're going to get better each week. Ross, I feel your pain, man. I'm still get a little jittery in the morning check because I'm not used to setting everything up again. It's nice being back in the studio, though, guys, isn't it? I'm really happy about this.
Yeah, it's good. Good setup.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it.
I know it's a little pain to drive over here, but I feel like it's worth it. Jimmy, my audio okay?
Yeah, just
Okay, cool.
stay in the mic, bud.
Well, I'm trying to get right in the mic this time.
Back in the radio 101, right?
Yeah.
You got to talk into the mic, Jim.
Mike,
Into the mic.
Johnny, just think for 3 years, you didn't have to tell me that, right? Out of 11, 3 years, you didn't have to tell me that.
You know
still got to tell me 11 years later.
I love that we got right back in studio and we picked right where we left off.
Exactly. Now, a little backwards. Let's not give yourself too much credit.
That's beautiful. Yes, always remember when we are live on the radio, you can be a part of the show. If you do have a question, a comment, concern, it is toll free at 877-927-6969. But boy, if you have a concern at this point, it must be a big deal because we haven't said nothing yet.
Yeah, exactly. We have a really good show today. There's a lot of really interesting stuff. One of the things I'm going to like about this show when I was going over all the notes is how much news you can use, kind of stuff we have in there to help people if they're buying a house, selling a house, thinking about refining the house, insuring a house. That's going to be a big topic today.
Nice.
About homeowners insurance. We went through an interesting thing. I don't want to get into it right now, but one of the things that we've been dealing with, there's been some changes to the state regulations for insurance, Ross, I think just for citizens, but I'm not sure, about if you have an older roof and talking about the useful life of that roof and whether it could be insured or not. And now there's an appeal process. I call it an appeal process. I don't know if that's the term. Is that what they call it, like an appeal, where you request
So is this for
a
new
review?
business, or
Maybe
is
it's
this
a
for?
review. Yeah, like the house that we just dealt with, where the house, we had a house that was older, didn't have a permit pulled when the roof was done a long time ago. It still had 6 years useful life according to our inspection, but because there was no permit pulled, citizens said that they weren't sure they were going to
Yes.
insure it.
It's just that you have to submit it unbound for the underwriters to review everything
Yeah,
before
so
they'll issue the
and
policy.
I've never ever actually dealt with that before. So we dealt with an unbound insurance policy. So we're going to talk about that because it's a really interesting process, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people probably going through that. So you guys get to learn what we learned through the first time of doing this, and that's what I love about this show. Is anything that's new or different, we're kind of on the cutting edge and let you know what's going on. So if you've got the older roof, even if you're not selling, this isn't for just for sellers or for buyers, although it's for them too. But if you just own a house and you have an older roof, you might be getting the letter someday or a notice saying you got to replace that roof and you got to know what your options are. And this is a really good tool to possibly save you money.
You know, it's funny, Jim. I had probably a half-hour conversation with my mom last night about whether or not she needs to replace her
No way.
18-year-old
No way.
barrel tile
Yeah,
roof.
she has a barrel tile roof.
Yeah.
And
So that'll be interesting. I'll talk to Ross about it when
you
we
might
start
be able
talking
to.
about it.
You might be able to kick the can down the road a little bit, maybe with these tips, right?
Yeah, I've got some questions for Ross on it.
That'll
so,
be great.
yeah.
A couple other things we're going to talk about. You know, I was going through the stats that we went over last week for the end of the year report for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
And
you were doing that again?
Well, we're kind of doing it again. We're going to look at it in a different way because I went through all the stats again last night, and then I went to this final stat, and they're so incongruent from each other that it's really startling, and it really kind of explains why everybody's so confused about this market. So I thought this would give some people clarity. So we're going to go back to tell you what it's really like to either try to buy a house or sell a house in today's market. Because let me tell you, the buyers and sellers really don't know what's going on. Neither side knows what's going on. The sellers think the market's one way. Most of the sellers think the market's a certain way. Probably isn't. A lot of the buyers think the market's a certain way, and it probably isn't. So we're going to get into that. I think that'll be fun. Of course, we're going to do the insurance stuff, and then we're going to wrap up the show later at the end of the show, which will be fun because we're going to talk about who's moving to Florida, right? So the Palm Beach Post had a really good article out last week. We didn't get to it last week, talking about where everybody's coming from that's moving to the state of Florida and Palm Beach County specifically. So I thought that was a really good topic. A lot of people have perceptions about that. So I figured we'd talk about that too. So that sounds good, guys, right?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Also, we're going to be talking about an open house that we got going today. I'm really excited about that. The house has only been on the market 10 days.
We have Paul on hold. So whenever you're ready, you can go to Paul.
Great. Let's go ahead and start off the show with the open house with one of my favorite. You know, I just moved to the Boynton Beach office last year, right? We were at the West Palm office.
Mm-hmm.
We do cover 6 counties, so people listening to us, we do everything from Vero down to Dade County. But I decided to move offices because I love the team lead there, Dan Tomott. We got to get him back on the show. But Paul is one of the top agents at Keller Williams Innovations in Boynton, and we're having him do our open house over in Royal Palm today. So let's get Paul on the air.
Perfect. Paul, thanks for your patience. Welcome. You're on Florida Talk Real Estate. How are you, my friend?
Hey guys, hey, it's good to be back. He's calling back in the old days, so glad to be back on there with you guys.
Thank you so much, Paul. You know, Paul is a huge ZZR head, right?
Nice.
So it's just a coincidence that we're in the same office. So Paul's always been a big ZZR head.
Always instant credibility in my mind.
Yeah, there you go. Right,
Yes.
exactly. And on top of it, he knows about the Love Doctors and everything. He's a huge Love Doctor fan, like we all were. Love Doctors were part of this station for
many years, built
almost 3 decades, if not 3 decades, maybe 3 decades. And it was one of the consistently top rated shows during prime time in Palm Beach County, at South Florida, actually. But Paul's the one that got me finding those old videos of you guys talking about the Love Doctor charities, and we were trying to raise the $6,000 for the Love Doctor charities.
right.
And Paul's the one that got me into my phone and found those old videos from 2013.
Cool.
So I have videos of Dr. Rich, Dr. Glenn, Dano, and you talking about the Love Doctor charities and trying to raise money for it. They're blooper sessions.
Right.
So I'm putting the blooper stuff together right now. And thanks to Paul, we'll have that on our Facebook and YouTube pages too. So all you total real radio heads, you're going to have some fun stuff to look at from 10 years ago. It'll be fun. Thank you, Paul.
Is this the one where Cam put together the video and didn't want to include the bloopers? And you're like, no, give us the bloopers.
Cam did too good at Cam, God bless him. He's on this show today, our tech guy. He actually did too good of a job and made it look like we were raising money for a charity that isn't around anymore. So I can't really use that right now, but we're going to turn that into a blooper film.
Wait, is this video that's playing right now online? Is that the house that Paul's showing?
Possibly. I'm not looking online right now, but if it is, Cam is doing an awesome job. Thank you, Cam. You're the best if that's happening right now.
If it's that house.
Yeah, I don't know which house. I don't see anything going across my screen other than you knuckleheads.
Interesting.
So, Paul, I'm sorry. So tell me about
That's
the open
right.
house you're going today. I'm so yes, that's the house. I'm looking at it right now. That is the house. It's an awesome house. So tell us about where you're going to be, what time. Tell us a little bit about the house, Paul.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll be at 297 Ponce de Leon Street. That's in Royal Palm Beach in the La Mancha neighborhood. And I'll be out there with my friend Bill Ginty from the mortgage firm from 11 to 2 today. So come on out. It's going to be a nice day for an open house. Perfect day to come find your dream home, especially you could be hosting your Super Bowl party at this home next year. So it's a great place. It's a fantastic home. It's got a nice pool in the backyard, big backyard, fenced in. It's a big house, about 2,100 square feet under air, impact windows, no HOA. So, if you're a guy like me that has a trailer and likes to do a little kayak fishing, you don't have to worry about an HOA nagging you about your trailer. Really nice, great neighborhood. Lots of updates, over $100,000 worth of recent updates to the house. So a new pool pump, they replaced the fence, the interior, exterior paint. I mean, they did a lot. There's the kitchen with countertops and cabinets and crown molding, all done in 2020. Upgraded electrical, new lights. I mean, they've done a lot on this house. And so we're going to be out there. Bill and I will be out there welcoming people to come check it out. It's a nice day. It's blue skies. So come in, 11, come check out the house. Get your realtor to get us an offer, and then you can go enjoy the rest of the day at the beach.
So I am looking at a little bit of the video. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you're watching some cool video of this home that Paul's talking about here. So if I'm in the market, and that's my general area I'm looking for. So if I want to go buy a car, Paul, I'm going to test drive that thing. You mentioned Super Bowl party next year. What do you say I throw a Super Bowl party this year, see if I like it, and then I'll make an offer?
I don't think Matt and Lisa would be too happy about that. No, I think they're going to pass.
Hey,
on that.
you don't know if you don't ask.
Now hold on a second. I see a pool there. Is it faux pas to bring your swim trunks to an open house?
To the open house?
Yeah.
I think
Couple
Matt and
laps.
Lisa might be okay with that as long as you bring a checkbook or at least proof of funds.
Yeah, you can rent the pool, right? For a couple hours.
Yeah. Paul, what some of the things that I really love about this house was that in 2019, 2020 was when the renovations were done in the house. They updated the bathrooms, updated the kitchen. They put recessed lighting in. They put in special lights throughout the house, not just the recessed lights, impact windows and impact sliders everywhere.
Sweet.
So you don't have to do anything when the hurricane comes other than make sure your stuff is shut, right? It's really nice. The backyard, it has a really nice sized pool. But the backyard to the left of the house, it has a huge piece of land that you could do so much with that. You could put in a gazebo, like a tiki hut or something like that if you want to do that. Barbecue grill area. You could do so many things.
Or even just park an RV. I mean,
you could. Well, actually, I don't want to say that because of Royal Palm's regulations and the way that the driveway access might be questionable on that because it's on a corner lot.
You could certainly park one of those the pop-up camper because it goes low profile. Right?
Yeah, maybe it's underneath the roof line. I don't want to say something that I'm not sure of. And they did replace the whole roof from 2020 of the roof, the whole fence from 2020 in 2020 and 2021. So it was they replaced it 2 different phases.
I almost thought I saw in that video in the backyard, they must have great neighbors. It looked like they had one of those fences that like lay down with the little table extension between the yards.
I didn't notice
It
that.
looked like
Oh,
it
that's
to me.
interesting. I'm gonna have to check out that.
Yeah, and anytime you got cool enough neighbor, if somebody's like, "Man, we're gonna do that," that shows you your neighbors are pretty good.
You know what else I like about this
Sure.
house, Paul?
Yeah.
You do?
So,
You said yes, so now you gotta tell me.
Tell me.
the new air conditioning, that's what I.
No, new air conditioning
That's
AC.
what I
Oh,
would
he's
love.
good. See, he's the salesman. He didn't know, and he gave me something different. Good job, Paul. What I was going to say is that we are the second lowest pool home in that community of La Mancha. La Mancha is a great community. 3 triple rated A-rated schools. One of them you could walk across the street and go to. Basically, it's right around the corner. We're surrounded by really great parks over there.
Oh yeah.
And we're the second lowest pool home in that community. So this is a deal. This isn't just hey, we got it on the market. We're in the market. These people want to sell their house. They're serious. So please go out to 297 Ponce de Leon. I'm sorry, is it Ponce de Leon? Always want to say Boulevard because I just came back from St. Augustine. It's street though.
Street.
It's Ponce de Leon Street. I'm getting confused because it's St. Augustine. Sorry. Ponce de Leon Street in Royal Palm Beach. Paul, you're going to be there from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock?
Yep, we'll be out there. Come say hi. Come walk through. Check it out. It's a really nice home. Looks really great, and the pool looks nice and refreshing. So yeah, we'll be out there.
Cool. And Paul, I'm going to give a shout out to Paul. Paul has a YouTube channel called Palm Beaches Paul, right?
Yep.
Palm Beaches Paul. It's a YouTube channel. It's kind of like a Florida lifestyle channel. Talking about stuff to do around South Florida. He's a really good videographer. He has a lot of fun with it. I wish I had his skills.
Cool.
So go ahead and check out Palm
brother.
Beaches Paul too. And go meet Palm Beaches Paul by going to the open house today, 297 Ponce de Leon Street in Royal Palm Beach. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, CBS home.
Yeah, great neighborhood, really desirable. I know La Mancha is a really desirable area for out west, and that is a nice home from that video. So go meet Paul, and maybe we'll be neighbor-ish.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Come out. Jim, like I say, come out, buy the house, enjoy paradise.
Absolutely. And Paul, do me a favor, will you?
What's that?
Sell that house.
Sell it, baby.
Sell it. Just sell it, okay?
All right, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for all your hard work.
Saturday, guys.
Thanks. Palm Beach Paul. That's awesome.
Palm Beaches Paul.
Palm Beaches Paul. Perfect. On YouTube. And of course, you can check out that video if you've been watching on Facebook. So when the show ends, that video like locks up, right? On Facebook. So they can go back and be like, oh, let me see
they
that.
can go back and look at it again. And we're going to be making a video with that. I'm behind on voiceovers. I'm going to be doing a voiceover on. I was waiting for some interesting stuff. Let me tell you something else interesting about that house. Okay, this is really interesting. Now, all you vets out there, all the vets, you got to listen to this. This might be our first assumable mortgage. How I've been talking about this forever.
Yeah.
So the mortgage company, the family owns. We're asking $565,000 for the house. I think the family owes $350,000 on the house. It's with the VA mortgage with Carrington Mortgage Company. Carrington is we already called them up. They just gave us back the paperwork on yesterday. We got the paperwork yesterday. They're going to allow us to assume the mortgage on that property. They're at, I think they're at 2.75% is what I think they're at for their mortgage on the $350,000 mortgage is at 2.75. If a vet comes in, they can grab that 2.75 interest rate. As long as they qualify for the total price of the house at the current prevailing interest rate, they're going to be able to qualify for that 275. So how would that work? They would get the 350 mortgage assumable from the other family locked in at the rate with the same mortgage payments, right, Mike? It isn't going to reset at 30 years. It's whatever they have left.
Yeah, they're
on that
taking over
mortgage.
the existing mortgage. So however much time is left on that's going to stay in place.
So they get to keep that super low interest rate for that super low mortgage payment, super low interest rate for $350,000 of the $565,000 of the purchase. Then the difference, they can go and get a second mortgage for the difference at the current prevailing rates. Now, Carrington, when we approached them to do the assumable, they said to us, hey, by the way, we'll take the second mortgage, we'll be the second mortgage bank if you want us to be. So I'm going through the paperwork on Monday to figure that out. But isn't that cool?
That is. Here's a question, just because I always think this way about trying to save money. With VA, they can go as low as 0 down, right?
Yes.
Can you do 0 down on an assumable mortgage? And
so you have to make up the difference. So Jim wants to sell it for 550. So the sellers have to get their 550.
565
or 565.
That's
right.
Yeah.
So which is
Yeah.
why
They'll
they
take
got
550.
they got to qualify
No, we
for
didn't say that. We
the
did
whole
not say that
amount.
at all.
Obviously, the assumable portion, and then they got to get, as Jim noted, another loan for the remaining portion. But can they pull that all off with 0 down as a vet?
My answer is I'm going to find out Monday, but probably not. That's why I'm not talking hard numbers right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's going to be terms on. Let's take scenario one is they have the cash, right? So they got. What's the difference?
Let's just say 250, just to round it off.
Okay, so they owe no. You want
It's
five.
actually
You want
230.
550. You're gonna pick up a
565.
loan. I'm trying to make the math easy, Jim. Right?
563.25.
Yeah, 563, 250.
And the actual retail price is.
Let's just say they had to come to the table. They need to find $200,000, right? So if they had the cash, they simply assume the loan at 350, bring in 200,000 or $215,000, and then that's scenario one.
Right.
Scenario two is they don't have the 215,000. So how do they get it? So I think what you're asking is, can they do a second lien or second loan for 215,000? Therefore,
with 0%.
0 down.
0 down, right?
Right.
So I think the challenge there is there's going to be some limit on the total exposure for the lender, the second lender on LTV, right? So they're not going to allow you to do 100% CLTV or combined loan to value. So the combination of the first and second mortgage.
Gotcha.
It's probably going to be something, the best case scenario is like 90 combined LTV. So they're going to have to come in with 10% of the 565.
Right.
Right.
And you're kind of
Right.
you are guessing, right? I mean, you're not.
Yeah, I don't know for
100%. Yeah,
sure, but
right.
just in general, when you're
Uh-huh.
getting the second loan, up to 90 is probably the highest that I've seen, and it's possible you can only get up to 80 combined LTV.
Well, it's still an amazing opportunity
yeah.
for a vet.
The
for
great
sure.
thing is, like, a lot of people say, okay, 0 down. That's definitely one of the benefits of the VA loan. But I run into a lot of veterans all the time who don't need 0 down. They're just taking advantage of it because they can, but they
Sure.
got cash in the bank.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of veteran families out there that should take a close look at this. And they may have the ability to do a 10% down payment or even a 20% down payment on the 565, but they're assuming 350,000 of that at a sub 3 interest rate,
Right.
which
Mike-
is
crazy.
which
Mike
is
and
amazing.
It's beautiful.
Mike and I did rough numbers on this a couple of weeks ago. It was very rough, but assuming that the mortgage was assumable, you bought it at the full asking price with today's market values, interest rates, and everything. We figured out roughly that you'd be saving about $650 a month on your mortgage payment if
That's
you go
huge.
this way,
That's
even
huge.
with the 10% down. So this is a real opportunity for vets. We care about vets very, very much.
Absolutely.
I just haven't reached out to the veterans groups. That's all coming next week. I just wanted to find out from the bank exactly what's needed because I didn't want to say one thing and then it turned into another.
Of course.
But this is a great opportunity. I got tingles just talking about this, guys. I really, really hope this is going to happen this way because we talked about this in like 2018 or something when they were changing around the way that VA and FHA mortgages were going to be handled when you purchased, and they were taking away a lot of things from us as buyers. So one of the benefits they gave us was the assumability
Right.
of the mortgage. And I remember saying back then, I can't wait till the interest rates go up because we're going to use that to the seller and the buyer's benefit.
Yeah, and
And now maybe we will.
the catch is like your traditional FHA via borrowers are doing low down payment. Like those are low down payment style loans. And so having that equity to be able to do the required down payment. So there is something required. But we just got a comment from Keith Miller. Perfect example,
Keith.
right?
Hey, yeah,
Keith is a
he's
veteran,
great vet. Yeah, I
right?
remember. Yeah.
Keith
What's up, buddy?
bought his home several years back. He's probably got significant equity. So if he were in the market to say upgrade, right? Like he has equity in his home. He could sell that. And maybe one of the challenges like, geez, I got to sell high, but I'm also buying high and the interest rates are high. So my payment's going to go up. Well, this is a scenario where maybe your payments, you still get advantage of that low rate. And yes, you do have a second loan or you're having to come in with a big chunk of equity, but it's something like he's an example of somebody that might be in a position to do this. right?
Yes.
Because he's going to sell. He's going to sell for
Mhm.
profit. He can take those proceeds, put it into this gap, and take the low loan, the low interest rate. Really, really cool.
So
Jim's
so
creative.
we hope this is going to work for somebody out there, because we are always trying to find deals and be creative, and we use the programs for people to their best benefits. We don't get involved in the politics of the programs. We just want to help people based on
Right.
the programs that are out there. This is a great way to fight this massive interest increases. It's a great way. It isn't out there all the time, so you have to search for these things. If your buyer's agent isn't kind of looking for these kind of deals, one of the things I'm doing now when I'm looking at properties, if we're going out to look at it and it looks like it might be a winner, one of the things I'm doing now is going into the mortgage online and trying to see what's going on. When was the mortgage written? And then that'll give me, and whether it was conventional VA or FHA, to give me an idea if we can even do this assumability stuff. And let me tell you, most listing agents have no clue about this at all. This isn't something that everybody's talking about or doing.
And now you're giving it out free.
I don't, well, help people, right? Help people, and hopefully that
Yeah.
people understand.
But the reality is, if your buyer's agent is not doing this stuff, they are failing you miserably.
Yeah.
So this leads me to something I've been hearing lately about subject to like kind of offers.
Yes. Yes.
And people kind of convincing people, hey, we'll buy you out, but you keep the mortgage
Mhm.
and we'll
So-
continue paying the mortgage
So
for
the
you.
subject to, sometimes they also call, and it can turn in from a subject to a sandwich loan after that. It could turn into that also. So here's, that's a very commonly
Investor.
used investor technique in order to get into properties from people who need to sell. And usually the people that are selling are in a very, very, I almost want to say desperate. Some of them definitely are desperate, but not everybody. Some people just don't want the inconvenience of selling a house that's scary to them. So they try to do the subject to. So this is what the investor does, right? Or the buyer. They go to you and go, "Hey, Johnny, I know you only owe $200,000 on your house right now. How about I just start taking over your mortgage payments, and then I'm going to give you $25,000 cash, and you don't have to be worried about this mortgage anymore. I'll take it over." Right? Now, what's going to happen is Mike's the mortgage broker, or the mortgage company, right? Not the loan officer.
The servicer.
Right,
Yeah,
the
loan
servicer. He's the servicer, right? So now instead of getting a check from Johnny C, the mortgage firm or the servicer getting a check from Johnny C every month, it's coming from Jim DiPaola every month, or my company. Usually that company, usually the mortgage is not subject to, and it's really not approved by the mortgage company. The mortgage company is not involved in this, and it's not probably according to their guidelines. They don't want somebody else taking over somebody else's mortgage without knowing they're qualifying for it. So we usually don't tell the lender, the servicer. And the servicer, as long as they're getting their check every month, doesn't really notice who's the check is coming from. Usually, they don't get caught. However, there's
And it's possible, Jim, that people don't even pay with check these days.
I know, direct deposit. I'm saying, I know, but you know what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying. But here's the thing, though. If I stop making the payments, Johnny is still responsible for that mortgage. He still owns that house.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I might be on the title, but Johnny still has responsibility for that mortgage. I don't. So if I don't make that payment, Ross, Johnny's screwed. Right.
Right,
So
but I
that's
mean-
where you have to be. That's where you have to really, really. When I only did like 2 subject twos when I was an investor, only 2 of them. Both times I had 4 months of payments in an escrow account that they could see. And then they saw that I was making the payment every month. It's like, "Hey, I made your payment. Hey, I made your payment. Hey, I made your payment," until I was ready to sell the house.
Is there a title transfer during this process, or you just have a contract?
You do a quick claim deed and you get yourself on title. And the reason why I do that as the investor, that way Johnny can't take my $25,000. I'm making his payment. Then he goes to resell it to somebody else.
So we basically have a deal. I give you 25,000. I start making your mortgage payments. You transfer title to me, or do you stay on title? Because I think transferring title is you can call your note due. If
Yes,
you
Right,
do
that's
there's an
why he's saying they don't wanna
acceleration. It's
tell.
called an acceleration. That's why you don't tell. So there's techniques to it. I haven't done it. I did that 15 years ago. So it's been a while. But that's the basic structure of it, is how it works. So usually I'm on the deed at least with Johnny.
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we're both on, and he gives me a quick claim deed for the 25,000, right? So there's a lot of risk there. And people, the market isn't that bad where you have to start doing these crazy things, right? Like the rent to own, don't do that. Okay. It's very, very tough to turn a Mike, have you seen many rent to own people actually convert from rent to own?
No. So
Right.
yeah, quick answer. No, I
Yeah,
haven't
they're
seen
quick
that. And I've
answer.
talked to people about it before, kind of like the long-term risk.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't see a lot of that.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, Ross, when we get to the changing market, because this is all related to the changing market and the stats. But I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to do some shout outs, just a couple quick shout outs. When we come back, we're going to go roll right into mortgage, home insurance stuff. I really feel like this is a good subject for a teachable moment for people. And I know a lot of people are going to be going through this. Mike's mom's going through this. So we're going to find out how to help Barb and see if we can help her today, and with some advice of what to do.
Yeah.
All right, fantastical. Quick little reset here. We appreciate you being with us on a Saturday. Of course, always remember Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com. We call it the one-stop real estate shop for a reason. You're getting access to the entire team. These are pros, experts in their field, and they do work cohesively together to make sure what you're trying to get done is done right by you and your family. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, and share it. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. 4 minutes from now, we're back at it. Thanks for being with us every Saturday. It's Florida Talk Real Estate right here. It's Real Radio.
We'll be your friend. Follow us at Real Radio 92.1 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
For more information about contests on the station, visit realradio921.com/rules.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jennifer Collins. Warm and breezy this afternoon with highs in the middle 80s and a chance for an isolated shower or two. A south wind between 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mild this evening with thunder showers possible until Sunday morning as a front arrives, then drier, cooler, and windy through Sunday.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. Jackson Hewitt gets you your biggest tax refund guaranteed, plus a chance to double your refund or win weekly prizes with their Double Your Refund sweepstakes. File your taxes on the double. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Ends 4/2/23.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DiPaola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1, and we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's it. Toll free, 877-927-6969. If you got a question, comment, concern in the world of real estate, want to be a part of the show, we got the team assembled to handle all that and more. Of course, if we can't get you definitive answers on the air, we'll make sure we get back to you off the air and make sure you are in the right position. Well, that's me, Johnny C. Of course, our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy. How are you, my brother?
Very good. And good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Jimothy will pick up that line there at 877-927-6969. You make it, we'll take it. That's phone calls, by the way. Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach, joins us in studio. Good to see you, my friend.
You too. Good to see you. It's good to be back in studio. Like I felt that last segment went pretty good. You know?
Yeah. You're like, all right. Yeah. It's familiar, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Although we're in the new studios for Real Radio, so it's a whole new experience for us. But great to be back in studio. If you're streaming live, you're like, oh, yeah, I see you guys. Facebook and YouTube. You can find a live stream on both. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook and YouTube live streaming every Saturday. You can see Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you, my
That's
friend?
right. Live and direct up front. I feel like I'm so much closer to the camera than Ross is. And he's behind me, so it's going to be a little bit funny.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, and you.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
The nice thing is you can see him in case he goes to do anything. Sabotage you in there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I can't see him sneaking up.
No, there's no sneaking up.
No bunny ears?
And Jimmy D's with us every Saturday. He's our fearless leader for 11 years now here on Florida Talk Real Estate. And I've told you he runs the top producing Keller Williams team. You'll find Keller Williams Innovations, the Florida Home Pros team. Jimmy D, how you be?
Hey, Johnny, thank you so much. Sorry about the camera work today, Ross. I promise next week we'll fix it. I thought I had brought more cameras with me, and I didn't. So next week, the cameras will get better and better, guys, for the people watching later.
Will you get better at talking into the microphone? Or
I thought I was talking right in it. I feel like I'm on a porn movie or something. I gotta have the camera the mic that close.
Zoom in.
You do.
Have you done one of those before? Is there video?
Get closer, Jim.
No comment. No comment.
There's an old Betamax of Jim floating around somewhere.
That's funny, Mike. We're going to talk about homeowners insurance and older roofs in just a second. This is really, really important stuff. If you're buying a house in today's market, you're selling a house in today's market, or you just got a house. Okay,
or you just
with
own
a roof
a house
on it.
in today's
market.
market.
If you have a house that has a roof on it.
In Florida.
If you don't have a roof, don't worry about it. Okay. You're not going to hate this segment.
I'm
but
out.
If you have a roof, if you have a roof where you're staying, you're going to want to know.
Or half a roof. Like you were talking about your open house. They had replaced half the roof. Right, but you meant half the fence, but you said half the roof initially. I was like, oh, half a roof. Is that good for insurance?
yeah, that gets you half off, right?
Right.
But before we do that, let's just do a couple of just super quick shout outs. I wanted to give a shout out to Stan and Mary. Stan and Mary came to us to sell their intercoastal condo in Singer Island on Riviera Beach area in Singer Island. We put the house in the contract in 30 days. We did have one price drop because they didn't agree to the price I wanted to put it at. But once we dropped it to the price I suggested, we got 98.7% of
Nice.
the list price. And not only did we do that, we did it within 8 days after we adjusted the price. So
Excellent.
I knew the price coming in. We got it. It still puts them in, I think, the top 5 sales in that condo
in the
the
project?
last 2 years.
What kind of offer did you get on that? Was it financed or?
It was a financed offer. We're waiting for the appraisal to come back, but we have just gone through the inspection, and we'll see what happens. So everything's looking good on that one. That actually is a very good deal in a way. It's got this is an older condo, right? Condo community on the west side of the Intercoastal, so it overlooks. It's just north of the Blue Heron Bridge.
Right.
And it's got those great intercoastal views to the east. And then you got the beach towers, right? All the beachfront condos, and then you can see a little bit of the ocean from your balcony. The balcony on this condo is 210 square feet. It's a big balcony, right? It's 20 feet long. It's 20 feet long and 10 feet wide, basically.
Yeah. 10.1.
Yeah, and it's thank you, Mike. And then
Damn.
so it's really, really good, and the views are just spectacular. I joke that if I were living there, and I wouldn't have to buy a TV because I couldn't watch TV if I wanted to, because I just keep every time I go there, I just keep looking at the water.
Just staring at the water.
I've caught a couple manatees out there from the few times I've been out there. I saw a couple of dolphins arching, their backs arching in the water. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Catching a frisbee.
Yeah, exactly. They have a really nice dock in this community. You can't dock your boat or anything, but it's great to just go out there and see the waves slapping against the pier, and to drop a line, if you want to drop a line out there. So it was under $400,000. We had it listed at $365,000. So really good deal. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right on the Intercoastal. And the building was just redone, so you won't have any Sunny Isles collapse. Is that what it's called? Sunny Isles? I always get that wrong. I think it's
that's what it
Sunny
was.
Isles.
I think so.
The
Sounds right.
condo.
Yeah.
Okay, Sunny
Sounds right.
Isles collapse, so you're not
Sounds
going
right.
to get that. So it's either Sunny Isles or Surfside.
Oh,
now-
Surfside.
now-
Maybe it's
now-
that sounds
Surfside.
like
I always
Why
get
do
it
both sound
wrong.
so good?
I always get it
Yeah.
wrong. So Surfside. So
Is
you
it
won't have
Sunny
any
Isles or
Surfside
Surfside?
problem.
Surfside.
So congratulations to Stan and Mary. Now let me tell you, Stan and Mary, they had some issues because they are full-time Canadians. This is a part-time home. They've lived here 35 years. So one of the things that we have to deal with Stan and Mary is the thing called FIRPTA, which is Foreign Investor Real Estate Property Tax Act. FIRPTA. I
FIRPTA.
didn't just burp, okay? It's FIRPTA. And with FIRPTA, any seller that is not a U.S. citizen has to give a certain amount of money of the gross purchase price to the title company to hold for tax purposes for the end of the year taxes for capital gains. So in order to avoid that happening, there are some exceptions to that. So in order to avoid that happening, we had to make sure that the buyer met the exceptions. And one of the exceptions is the buyer has to sign a statement saying it's their intent that while the house is occupied, they will occupy it 50% of the time. Now, that is not necessarily a homestead. A lot of people say you have to homestead the property in order for the sellers to get this tax break. That's not true. The buyer has to sign an intent of what they're planning to do with the property, has to meet certain criteria. This buyer meets that criteria, no problem. They're moving in as homestead anyway. They're going to homestead the property anyway.
It's probably similar to the insurance requirements, Ross, where it's owner occupied, right? So you're not, even if you meet the 6-month threshold, you can't have it rented out for the other 6 months, right? Like it's got to be for the exclusive use of the buyer, right? It's not
For
a rental
two-
property.
Right. And it isn't 6 months out of the year. It's actually 2 years out of 5. And they don't have to be consecutive.
For what? For
For
homestead?
homestead.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 out of 5, and it doesn't have to be consecutive. So I could live there for a year the first year, the second, third, and fourth year, I rent it out.
Yeah.
And then the 5th year, I live there again. Then for the whole year, and I could document it. Then I could show that I lived there 2 of the last 5 years, and that's homestead exemption.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, do you get that homestead exemption for those 5 years? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I feel like we're
when I say
we're
the
mixing.
homestead exemption, I'm talking about capital gains exemption.
That's what I was
not
thinking. That's
homestead
capital gains.
exemption,
Okay,
Okay,
gotcha,
capital
gotcha.
gains I'm talking about. there is a little difference because homestead, people get confused because there's a homestead law for Florida, and there's certain state laws and protections you get from that. Like the house is a man's castle, and I'm using man, and I don't mean to, be gender
A human.
human. Yeah, it's a human's castle, right? So, what does that mean? That means if you get sued or something, they can't just take away your house as part of the lawsuit. You're protected that way. That's why a lot of rich people move to Florida, right?
Uh-huh.
One of those protections, right?
That's why I came down here.
Yeah.
Mr. Got Rocks over
Yeah. So anyway, but getting back just to the shout out real quick because I want to get into the home insurance stuff. What was great about for Stan and Mary, we've dealt with FERPTA in the past. We actually did with FERPTA. Oh no, we did. We did FERPTA with the Jupiter Farms property just the year before. So we knew the exact process of what to do. And we had the company, thanks to the law office of Paul A. Krasker, he referred us to a company called FERPTA Solutions that's walking us through the process. And they're experts on dealing with foreign sellers that are foreign nationals that are selling U.S. properties. So that's kind of interesting. So congratulations, Stan and Mary.
So the PSA is if you are a foreign national and you're selling property, deal with the FERPTA situation. Otherwise, your title company is going to withhold a
lot of money.
big
It's
chunk
like
of change.
15%.
Yeah, big chunk of change.
You're a
Or
buyer.
more.
Of the sales price.
Of the sales price.
Not your proceeds.
Right. That's the gross. So if you sold your house for $500,000 and 15% comes out to what, $65,000 or something like that?
So, yeah, 75.
Yeah, something like 75,000. So you would have to pull 75,000, even if your tax obligations when the smoke clears is only 20.
Ugh.
They take the 75, and then you got to claw it back from the U.S. government.
Even if your proceeds are less than 75, they're still going to take 75.
Yeah.
Right. Like say you had a loan on that of 450,000. So your proceeds were 50 ballpark. They're still going to take.
You got to bring the money to the table.
Yeah.
It's almost like being upside down. Even though you might not owe that when the smoke clears, they're going to take it. Then you got to claw it back.
And they hold it for a year, and then you have to wrestle it back.
I don't even know about hold for a year. It could be longer.
Whew.
Yeah, because you know how the U.S. government
Yeah.
is. They owe me a tax return from 2 years ago, still haven't paid me.
Good luck.
So who knows? Yeah, good luck with that. It's like, I'm a good government. I'm here to help you. Okay. So another shout out is to Karen. Karen, just we're doing a rental down in Lighthouse Point. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath rental. It's in a really great neighborhood, a waterfront community called Lighthouse Plaza. She's asking $2,050. We put it on the market yesterday. Already have 3 renters lined up, begging to get into the property, which is great. The reason why I'm giving the shout out to Karen now isn't just listing the rental, but this is, I think, the 3rd deal I've worked with Karen's family. And they've referred us to 1 or 2 other people that we already closed. We closed Megan and Dylan a couple months ago, and they were referred out to from Karen's family. So, Karen, thank you so much for trusting in our team, and they've worked with us over and over again. It's great. So, thank you so much, and thank you for thinking of us for the referrals. This market's tight. Any referral we get, we are so grateful. So, anybody that knows anybody that needs to buy or sell or refi, please give us a call. Of course, homeowners insurance and all types of insurance except life insurance. But give us a call. We love the referrals, and we really appreciate it. And the other thing is, please don't just give it to the person and say, hey, you should call these guys. Let us know that you did the referral so we could thank you in the right way for just thinking about us. So please let us know.
Yeah.
By the way, we do life insurance, just not health insurance.
Oh, do you do life insurance?
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I thought it was
Everything but health.
But health insurance. Okay, that's good to know. And I have somebody that wants to talk to you then. Okay.
Life insurance.
I didn't know that. I forgot about that. Okay, so let's talk about insurance and the new roofs and Citizen. So I probably have this pretty garbled up, and you're the expert, Ross. So I wanted to make sure that I say it the right way. So January 1st, there were some changes about how Citizen handles age of roof process. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I'm not trying to grill you here. You're not on this stand. You're not George Santos, and I'm ragging on to you right now.
No, it's not so much the age of the roof.
Okay.
It's whether or not there's a permit.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. So,
Is what the change that you're referring to is.
Yeah, about the permit process.
Okay.
So tell me about that. So like what happens?
So right now, if there's no, if they, the inspector goes out there and says, hey, look, the roof looks like it's from 2006 or 2005, but there's no permit on file. I can tell it's a new roof, but there's no permit. So that gets indicated on the wind mitigation report as well as the 4-point inspection. So citizens will still offer coverage. It's just that now, in order to bind that policy, you have to submit it to citizens unbound, have their underwriters look at the overall file, and then approve it at that point. So,
Okay.
which can take a little bit. So,
Right.
when we are seeing that on our wind mitigation reports or 4-point inspections, we're trying to say up front, like, hey, there is no permit. So, citizens has this new process, which can take a few days. So, we just want to make sure that we stay ahead of that.
One question for Ross and then a question to Mike. So my question to you, Ross, is did they always have to check whether there was the last permit pulled for a roof? Is that always a normal part of the process, or is that a requirement now? Like, let's say that you had a house that had a 15-year-old roof, but it had 8 years useful life. But this is before January 1st. Did they have to check to see if there was a permit there? Of the
No,
last roof?
no, they didn't. Prior to January 1st, as long as the roof
Met the
had
useful life.
had pretty much met the useful life, then citizens was good with it. But now we have to, if there is no permit, then you have to submit it, have the underwriters
But
look
when
at
you
it.
say if there's no permit, that means they have to. Were they always checking to see if there was a permit before this
No,
new regulation?
no.
Now they have to check.
Now they have to check, and now even if on the wind mitigation report, if it or on the 4-point, if it lists a permit number for the roof, us as agents still have to go find that permit and submit it to citizens as part of their required
Proof, so you have to
documentation.
show.
So they're not even just taking, oh, there's a permit number and looking it up. They're requiring us to have that permit presented to them.
Okay, so you're really vetting it. So, Mike, if you have an unbound, if they say we're going to do it right now, but we're unbound and we're going to go through the process, you can't grant the loan until it's bound.
We
right?
need the insurer or the insurance agent to provide us what we call evidence of insurance. And so Ross's office wouldn't submit to us an evidence of insurance on an unbound policy.
So this is pretty interesting stuff. So I'm going to use.
I got a question though.
Sure,
So
please.
so if I'm on the front line, I see the Windman, the 4-point, and then would forward it to Ross for quotes, right? Like that's good information for them to have. They can give an accurate quote. So we try to give them that information up front. What should I be looking for, Ross, in that scenario? Because I know that there's that section, and I see sometimes you have permit information and sometimes there's no permit information, which to me means it's the original roof. What should I be looking for there? Just like
right
permit?
there in that first section where it lists all that. If there's no permit information, or if the box all the way on the right, like if it says, it's a 1995 home and it says the roof was replaced in 2006, but there's no permit. All the way to the right in that section is a box that the inspector can put, oh, roof is from 2006, but there's no information for compliance.
Okay.
So it's basically, that's his opinion. That's what he's saying. And then if there's no permit, then just know that when you send that request for insurance, we're probably going to need an extra few days.
All right. So that's good for me to know, just if we're like tight on time. Normally, I mean, all through these years, say, Ross, here's the quote. We're ready to go. And he'll be like, yeah, we can bind this anytime.
Yeah.
Right. So now just look for that. Okay. Good info for the pros to have.
But also too, sometimes inspectors are lazy, and a lot of the times they don't, go out of their way to find the permit.
Yeah.
So having a good inspector,
It's
yeah,
super
because I had one where it came back where we had an old wind mitigation report on file, but it was expired. So we said, hey, we need a new one.
Mhm.
And then they got theirs and sent it back, and he said he couldn't find a permit. And I emailed the client back, and I was like, hey, you need to present this to your inspector, because we have a permit from 6 years ago. He needs to, put that on there.
Put that on there.
Yeah,
So,
that's a super big deal. So let's use a real life example that just happened to me this week, okay? On how this affects people in real life, like real life, what these regulations mean. They're not just some stuff. My glasses, I can't even see them. They're so funny. I got fingerprints all over them. It's pretty funny.
Real life.
I'm gonna try to read this. Okay. So this is what happened in my situation. We had a house in Green Acres. The roof was about 16 years old, 17 years old. And when we were taking the listing, we actually talked about this, that it could be an issue. Now, when I drive up to a house, I'm not an expert on roofs, but I've actually put on a few of my roofs myself over time. So when I pull up, the first thing I'm doing is I'm scanning the property, right? And I'm not just looking for curb appeal. I'm looking for rotted eaves. I'm looking at what the garage door shape is. Does it have shutters or not shutters? Like what kind of window protection? How old are the windows? But the really thing I'm looking at is the roof because that's the big ticket item. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for rotted eaves or soffits problems. That's very common even in almost all houses have some type of rotted eaves or fascia. That isn't uncommon. I'm also looking at the age of the if it's a composite shingle roof, I'm looking at the age of the roof by seeing if I could see any silver stuff underneath the granulation, which means that there's a loss of granulation. I'm looking to see if the shingles look like if they're curled or they've shrunken over time. That's something really important. And of course, I'm looking to see if there's any discoloration of the roof because if you see a bunch of patches all over the place and not in just one spot, that's usually not a very good sign. So checking all that out. This house looked pretty clean, right? So I was like, okay. They told me 17, 18 years or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know if we're going to have to worry about this, but it could become an issue. So I said, I'd really recommend that you go get a report to find out what the useful life is as the roof. So let's talk about useful life real quick. The way useful life works, Ross, for citizens is that you have to have a minimum of 3 years useful life in order to get an insurance policy today, correct?
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter the age of the roof. It's just that you have to have 3 years useful life.
Yes.
So it could be a 28-year-old roof, but if you have 3 years useful life, you get the insurance policy the way it exists right
I
now.
I believe if it's, a crazy number like over 25, you
Mhm.
might still, even if it has useful life, I think we might have to submit that
Yeah.
unbound.
So unless and
But
25 years is a long time in Florida. So
right.
you'd have to really be, you'd have to really be up there to have a problem. Now that might change. They've talked in state legislator bust bumping that up. I can't decide busting or bumping, boosting that up to 5 years. I'm sorry. For I'm
Useful
sorry.
life,
We're going. It used to be
3 years.
it used
Or
to
it's
be.
currently 3 years.
It's currently 3 years, but now they're thinking about. I thought I read in the paper that they're thinking about even reducing it lower or something like
I
that.
don't think they would go
They
lower.
don't think they'll go lower than 3.
No.
Okay. So what happened with this family is we talked about it, said we should get a company to come out. And we explained to them that the report that you're paying for will not be transferable necessarily to the new owner. So if you get a useful life report, that's okay. When the inspector for the buyer comes out, they may have a different opinion because this is an art, not a science, right, Ross? To a
It
certain
it
extent.
it should be.
Hmm.
But there's some inspectors that go, even if it's a tile roof, oh, that roof is 20 years, there's 0 life left. And it's
Exactly.
like, no, 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 no.
Exactly.
It's an opinion.
Yes.
It that's what that question is. It's an opinion. There's no science. There's no calculation that you can map out that's going to give you a yes or no answer.
So we went into contract on this house very quickly and we got full asking price. Okay. We got it in a week or less. Okay. And this happened all right now. This is live time, like not 8 months ago when the market changed. Right. So in 7 days, we had our offer. We had full asking price. Nice. Right. 20% down conventional financing. Went through the inspection. The inspector told I was out of town. This is late January. And they said, the report came back from the inspection that the inspector said they couldn't determine the useful life. That's what the buyers told us, that they couldn't determine the useful life. Period. They just didn't know. I go, I've never heard of that before. And the other thing is the buyer was an investor who was buying it for his daughter. So I felt like he was using, and he was, so far they've been a great people to work with. So I'm not ragging on them, but they're negotiating. So I felt like he was trying to see where the weak spots were and see if he can get extra out of us.
Sure.
So I said, I don't believe that that house has 0 years useful life. Did you do the inspection I asked you to do? The family said not yet because everything happened so quickly. They didn't have a chance. So I called up Ross. Ross gave me the company to go out there. The company was great, Ross. Thank you once again. I think they paid $150 or something for this report. And it came back. And I think that was the full 4 point. I think they did a full 4 point form. And it came back and they said there were 6 years left. And I was like, yes. Went from couldn't determine, had 6 years. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
I don't know how a person who is licensed to assess and fill out a 4-point inspection cannot have an opinion on the remaining useful life. Like, how is that even possible? At least you give me something. You put 0 years,
I
right?
agree. I agree, but I don't want to like get off a track on that. But you're totally right. And these are all real life stuff that happens to you. It's like, really? Now I can't tell you. It's like, don't you understand what your job is? Your job is to inspect this and tell us what's going on, and we don't know.
Literally.
At least he was honest. He's like, I have no idea.
Well, I really feel like when we started asking hard stuff, when the report came back, the roof looked pretty darn good to me. Like when we saw the inspection report, I was like, let's see. So we got 6 years. So we thought we were good. Now I forgot to tell you, during the inspection, we did go down from the 400 asking price down to 396. So we gave him a 4,000 credit for the roof because the roof was so old. Okay. Now we're going to close, right? We're moving forward towards closing. Inspection is done. Appraisal comes in. We don't have a problem with the appraisal. We think we're closing. Then we get the phone call. Insurance company won't insure the house, right? Because of the useful life issue that we have right now. Why? Because we don't have a permit for the last roof. So I called the family back, and the family admitted that they did put a roof on at the time that they said, but they did not pull permits intentionally, because I don't know why, because people are crazy about permits. People, pull your permits. It's not worth not pulling your permits.
Also, I believe if they have receipts in the contract, I believe citizens will accept that.
That's interesting. So
what if they did it on their own?
So we had to go through
I got to sit and wait for the underwriter to look at this process.
So then we had really great buyers in this case. This was not an antagonistic situation. So the buyers were very cooperative with this whole thing, even though that they were saying, hey, we want the credit for the new roof. And I can understand where they're coming from. The roof is older. They know that the roof's going to be replaced very soon, if not immediately, very soon. So they're trying to negotiate a roof. I would negotiate the roof too if I were them. So I'm not complaining about the buyers in this at all. But what happened was the buyers did something I didn't expect. I thought we were going to have to start negotiating the full roof, right? Once we found out that citizens said there was the inspector reported back that there was no permits documenting the last time the roof was on. So we're not going to give you insurance. Put the roof on, right?
So they actually declined it.
Well, at first. Then they told us that there was an appeal process or a review process. And do you know what that process is called, where you go through a review? Like the Unbound.
We haven't had one decline, so.
Okay. So they told us they weren't going to give it to us because there was no permit. So then we heard that there was an appeal process. I think you told us, but the other agent told us too, Tammy. She's been great to work with. So what they did was, without asking us, they started shopping around trying to find somebody that would still do the deal with the roof as it sits. And they went to insurance agent after insurance agent after insurance agent, and they finally decided to go through the Unbound process. So that Unbound process is where you turn in all this information and you show to citizens, yeah, we don't have a permit, but we did all this checking on the roof, and this is what we believe. And then they come back and they decide if they're going to give insurance or not, citizens. So we didn't know how long this was going to take or anything. It took about 10 days, right? Which to me wasn't that bad, 10 to 14 days. And they came back and they said, we are going to give you an insurance policy on this house. Yes. Right? But only for 1 year. And they said, after next year, that's it. You got to put the roof on. So then we were back to
how much money?
Right. Then we were back to the buyers saying, well, I want a credit for the roof because next year I've got to put this roof on. And I understand where they're coming from. Right.
But you're also buying an old house that you probably.
Well, no, that's the beauty on this. The house isn't old.
Okay.
Everything else in the house is brand new. Everything. Impact windows, brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms, flooring. When I say brand new, within a year.
But the house itself, how old's the house itself?
Older than the roof.
Probably 85, I'm guessing. 78 to 85. CBS, right? But it's brand new, everything on the inside. And the roof, we already had a roofing company go out there and check it out. They told us the roof was $12,000. So that's what we're arguing over. It's 12 grand. It was a smaller house. And they got a great deal because the family knows the roofer. So we were haggling over 12 grand. And we already gave them a $4,000 credit, remember, during the inspection. So now they're saying we want the whole $12,000 credit because of the we got to put the roof on. So what the family did was, and we negotiated this way, the family decided, Jim, if we're going to have to pay to put the roof on anyway, we're not going to sell it at the price we agreed to. We're going to increase it for the amount of the roof, and we're going to sell it, 412,000. So instead of selling it for 400,000, we're going to add the 12,000 for the roof and sell it for 412. I told him let's put it on the market 415, 420, because I think that the house with the brand new roof, there's nothing left to do in that house. Everything's done. AC, water heater, everything's done in that house. So it's effectively a brand new house or a 3-year-old house at that point. So my attitude was, yeah, I think we could get a number that's going to give you back the roof money. So we went back to the buyers and I said, I'm sorry. The sellers have decided that they're not going to sell it to you at that price and give you the full roof credit. You could either close with the terms we have, or you could wait to close and we'll go ahead and put the roof on and then we'll close afterwards. So what do you think happened after all of that stuff? 3 weeks of haggling, talking to all these contractors, talking to the insurance company, all that. Where do you think this deal ended?
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
That's exactly what happened. They went and did it. So we're closing at the 400,000 with the
Minus the
4,000 credit for the roof. So they get a little bit of money towards the roof, but not all of it. I feel like it was a win-win for everybody. And the buyers were I have to say, the buyers were super cool through this whole thing because they even gave us an extension on the closing. They didn't have to do that, but they did it, and they gave us a significant extension that really helped out the sellers for the transition. That's why you need to have a good one-stop real estate shop, right? Everybody was kind of involved in helping us out. Ross's insight on what to do and how to do it was so important to us about this. Understanding bound and unbound insurance and how it affects the mortgages really helped out. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but having somebody who knows how to negotiate this stuff, because I don't know how many times the family was ready to cave in to do the roof if they needed to. And we were really trying to avoid it because they really, really didn't want to, right?
Sure.
So I feel like it was a win-win-win for everybody. And a lot of those deals, you see them, there's a description for these kind of deals. It's called active back on market. Because you see a lot of these deals going active back on market, meaning that the deal fell apart and it's back on market again. But that isn't the way we are at the Florida Home Pros and the One-Stop Real Estate Shop.
It was also pretty risky for the sellers, right? Okay, we're going to come out of pocket to put a new roof on and then hope we get a better deal.
They would have, I think.
Yeah.
They would have in this case. If I was worried about it, Mike, I would have said, hey, you should just give them the credit and move on and don't have any responsibility for this. And they could have done that. But I really felt, and the money was so important to them because even when I put the house on the market for, we did excellent in that neighborhood, but it wasn't exactly what they were hoping for. They wanted higher. So their expectations were already deflated a little bit. So I was fighting for any money we could fight for. We were doing it.
I don't know how it must be unique to Florida, but that whole negotiation process was driven by the insurability of the home. What other market is the insurability of the home driving negotiations? I mean, it seems
California.
It's crazy.
That I just read about it today. It's so funny you brought that up. I was going to bring it up next week. California, the West, actually all out West.
Because of fire, earthquake?
Because of the fires. This is what's happening out there. And I'm wondering if we get too many hurricanes, if it's going to happen here. As the houses are burning down in certain areas, the insurance companies are saying, we're not insuring any houses in this area. So what's happening is the people that are moving in are multi-millionaires that are building these huge, expensive houses that
And
are
they're just
totally
foregoing insurance.
unaffordable. So people that could afford the neighborhood before are moving out after their places burned down because they can't rebuild because of insurance problems out there now.
Oh, so it's changing the dynamic of the style of houses that are going into those locations. Yeah.
And the amount of people that are able to go in there.
I mean, just like anything, where there's a gap, somebody's going to fill it.
I always said that. I've been saying that for so long. How come we're the only ones getting hit? What about all those fires out in the West? I used to say it all the time. Now I read an article saying it is affecting them.
Remember, it's not about claims. right,
Yeah,
Ross?
right.
Our
It's
issue
fraud.
is more about fraud and
Fraud.
litigation. I mean,
Right.
they've even
Yeah.
laid the numbers out. It's like, what was it, 80 percentile or something of the money paid out is through
78%, something like
Yeah,
that.
so I think it's 71%.
71%. So, I mean, the focus there is about claims. The focus here is about, at least according to
Yeah,
the state and
you're
their
100
perspective, it's about litigation and fraud.
100% right, because when I read that article, I didn't see anything about fraud in there, that people are ripping off people and blah, blah, blah. I didn't see anything like that. But in Florida articles, anytime they talk about insurance, there's always a paragraph or two saying Florida is home of the, number one fraud in the country for home insurance.
So
I think it would be kind of hard to manufacture fire damage in like a fraudulent case, right? Like over here, it's like, hey, the hurricane came through and blew off some of your tiles 2 years ago, right? Like that's a little bit easier to manage than the fire came through and burned your house down.
Yeah.
But I guess what it does boil down to in the end is companies having to pay out regardless of how they're paying it. It gets to the point where it's too much and they're like, we can't do it anymore.
Yep.
Regardless of how
it's
they're
so
paying.
weird because I told you, Jim, I had this conversation with my mom
Yeah,
last
let's-
night. We
that's
were
what I
on the
wanna get
phone
into
probably
that.
a half hour talking about this, and
Mhm.
I did talk about kind of what's driving it, right? Because I have information from this show about how much money is paid towards litigation versus actually paying claims and kind of what's driving that. And of course, there's two sides to that story, right? You're
course.
going to have people who would say things on the consumer side of it, right?
course.
That's what you have to do. That's the only way to get an insurance company in Florida to pay a claim is to take them through to litigation.
There's
But-
usually three sides, right?
Yeah.
Their side, my side, and the truth, right?
yeah,
Typically.
yeah. And then, so you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I'd like
Okay,
to.
So my mom's not selling her home, but she is approaching 20 years on her tile roof. And the scenario is she lives in a gated community. There's a roofer that's coming in and doing all of the community buildings, right? Like the rec center and the whatever, their amenities. And they were given, I guess they gave a presentation to the homeowners talking about some of this stuff. Obviously, they want to quote people new roofs in the community, right?
Sure.
Like that's part of, they're not going around doing the whole, hey, you haven't wind damage thing. They're just saying, hey, we're here. We're giving discounts to homeowners. And they're talking about why they might need a new roof. And so one of those reasons, of course, is, hey, you're coming up on 20 years. These insurance companies are not insuring 20-year-old roofs. So, here's an opportunity for you to rectify that. And I'm trying to say, Mom, well, you got a couple years left at least. And then also the fact is at least one insurance company will insure your roof at 20 years old, and that's Citizens. And so is Citizens a viable option compared to, I think her current insurer, Ross, is Tower Hill, she said. So is Tower Hill that much better than Citizens, where it makes sense to put on, spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new roof a little bit premature just so you don't have to go to Citizens?
I would say no.
No, Tower Hill is not that much better than Citizens?
For the cost of a new roof?
Yeah,
No.
that much better.
Yeah, because that is a very important variable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think it would help her putting on a new roof.
At least
you're
not to
saying,
the point where you're like, oh, that's a
Yeah,
big
I mean,
difference.
it might open up a couple more carriers that might be willing to offer coverage because the roof is new. But I would bet that Citizens would be
still the
$1,000 cheaper.
So let me ask you this: a 20-year barrel tile roof. I ask you this stuff all the time when we talk about it, but we have new listeners, in the car driving around right now. So everybody out there, I'm sure they have this question. Barrel tile roofs are usually good for 30 to 40 years, depending on the manufacturer, correct? Because when I was younger, they used to be 40, but I heard they went down to 30.
I mean, I don't know what the manufacturer is telling you,
Okay.
but at one point for insurance, you could insure a tile roof up to 50 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I
then-
think
Like
this
5 years ago.
roofer who's quoting the new roofer are talking about a 25-year. I don't know if
Okay.
it's a 25-year warranty or 25-year expected life or something.
So let me ask you this: if you, what do you expect when you see a barrel tile leaf? What are the parameters for Citizens with barrel tile?
I mean,
It's the same thing, just 3 years useful life.
yeah, I
period?
mean, they're that really high number that I mentioned. If it's for a shingle, I think it's at 25 years. You have to submit it unbound. It might be 30 or 35 for a tile roof where you would have to submit it unbound. But
So at
other
20
than
years,
that-
if you had 3 years useful life, no problem.
right.
Yeah. So I think with your mom, Mike, that she should just every year
Yeah.
do a a roof check.
So I think she's nervous about having to be forced into a citizen's policy. And so I'm trying to tell her, say, Mom, it's not that bad. Like, I don't think any insurance company in Florida that's operating is like top end, like here, you got to have this insurance because they're the best, right? I think we're talking about insurance companies that your options are limited for a reason, right? Just because there's not a lot of players in this market.
Right.
And I think you have difficulty in the claims process with whether it's Citizens or any other insurance who's working down here. It's not easy. Well, maybe it's easy. I don't know. I've never had an insurance claim, right? But I just don't know that there's that much of a difference between company A, company B, company C, and Citizens when it comes to homeowner insurance in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is with Citizens,
the liability.
The liability, you can't endorse it to make it better. You can't really change it to make it that much worse. It's just, these are your coverages that we offer. Can't make it better. And they're the basic coverages, covers the house, covers your stuff.
Yeah. Would you say is their claim process any better or worse than a non-Citizens carrier?
No, nobody ever says the claim process went amazing, with any company,
with anybody.
Very rarely does that happen. And
it's also possible that her options would be limited, even if she does put a new roof. Her options may still be limited simply because insurers fall out of the market. Like, there's no guarantee that her current insurer is going to play with her in 2, 3, 4 years.
That's absolutely.
The insurance, your insurance policy is a 1-year contract. That either you can renew it or opt to not renew it, and the carrier can issue a renewal or opt to non-renew it.
They can also cancel.
Exactly. So, until if she doesn't want to go to Citizens, until she, has to do it to stay with Tower Hill, if that's what she wants,
right?
Then I would just keep going with Tower Hill.
Kick the can down the road until they're forced to make a decision.
Yeah, and the force to make a decision could be like, I'll give you a scenario now where they go, okay, we'll renew you, but now you're going to pay $30,000.
Okay,
and
so
then
they make it so expensive to insure your home that it's they're forcing your hand anyway.
Right. Like, I just had this guy who his shingle roof is 25 years old. His carrier offered him a renewal, but it went from $8,000 to $24,000. So we were going to write him a new policy, but when they did the 4-point, the roof had 0 years of useful life, and I agreed with it. It wasn't something I was going to argue. So he's putting on a new roof. That premium will go from $24,000 down to $4,800.
Wow. Huh. And I guess there are like the national players, like that you would consider good insurance companies. They actually will play down here for the right price, right? Like USAA, for example, will insure a home in Florida, but it's going to cost a lot of money.
Right. And that's, people, why did my policy, we get that all the time. Why did it go up? Because everybody's rates are going up. And it's, hey, we lost 7 insurance companies last year, 2 more left the state. The people that are still, willing to offer policies are having to charge for it, so they can stay in business.
And I guess for your mom, Mike, one really important variable, not only insurance related, because maybe she just sticks with the same insurance policy, is how substantial is the savings that they're giving her in the community with this company coming in. If it's substantial enough, might be like, well, maybe it is time because we're saving a lot of money.
Like if you're saying like 25% off the roof cost,
I mean, if it's substantial enough, if they're really hooking the homeowners up with a massive discount,
I don't think they are. I think they're just it might be one of those where like, hey, we're here, so we're giving you a discounted price, but if you compare that to some other roofers, I don't know. So I didn't really get that deep into it. My point is, like, she doesn't have, like, if your roof is sound, like the decision shouldn't be, can I get insurance? It should be, is my roof sound? Right? Is it watertight? Do I have problems with the roof? Are they small problems that can be repaired, or do I actually need a new roof?
It might have to be, can I get insurance though? Because
according to what Ross just said, I think tile roof, she's got more than 20 years before they're going to start looking at, will Citizens write this policy?
So it shouldn't be an issue.
So she should have at least the one option, and maybe more. The other thing that they're offering, Ross, and this is interesting, they're offering solar. They're like trying to push solar too, including solar installation and, the wall power kind of generator style things. And something is tickling my brain that some insurers don't like solar panels on the roof.
Yeah.
Right?
Some carriers don't want them at all. Some carriers will accept them if they were installed at the time that the roof was being put on
Okay.
instead of retrofitted. So each carrier kind of plays that differently. Citizens will accept it.
If it's part of a new roof installation, maybe there's opportunity to make it watertight. Like I'm sure they're worried about how they're attached and whether they're watertight, and also are they going to come off in a big storm and maybe run into your neighbor or
damage the roof, you know,
or damage the roof. And there's also mortgage concerns when you do solar installation. So especially if it's like sometimes those arrangements are you're leasing the panels, like you don't own the panels, you're leasing the panels from the installation company, and that can cause conflict if you go to sell and your new buyer is getting standard, conventional financing or FHA, whatever it is. There's implications there on the solar. So
did they put a lien on the title? Like, how do you guys find that?
Yeah, so there's various, you have to basically investigate that. So if there are solar panels on the roof, you need to figure out what kind of agreement the homeowner did with the solar installation, and are they on some sort of long-term lease? Do they own the equipment outright? Like you have to investigate all of that.
Man, we are really highlighting how expertise, knowledge in every aspect is really important when you're dealing with a home, buying a home, selling a home, trying to get property insurance, refi, and everything in between. It's why FloridaTalkRealEstate.com is so valuable to you. Your one-stop real estate shop. You got a team of pros. Talk about knowledge. Man, they have a ton of knowledge. And the nice thing is they also know what they don't know. And they reach out to get those answers to make sure that they are constantly educated and making sure that you're in a position with people that are absolutely making the decisions for you or helping you make decisions that are going to be appropriate for what you're trying to get done. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thanks. We're going to round out this segment. We'll take the break at 10:30, Timothy.
Okay.
We're going to round out this segment with the changing market, the South Florida market, what's happening here. I'm going to use two really fun examples, I think, to show what's really happening in today's market. But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody that we've got an open house today from 11 to 2 o'clock at 297 Ponce de Leon Street in Royal Palm Beach. It's a really nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, CBS, pool home, in an A-rated school system, and it's been very heavily upgraded. Really nice home. And if you're a vet, you might be able to take advantage of the super low interest rate that the family already has. I think it's at like 2.7%.
Wow.
At $350,000. So the first $350,000, if you're a vet and you could qualify for the house, you could take over that low interest mortgage. Just take it over at the amount of payments. So if they've already made 3 years of payments on the 30-year loan, you've only got 27 years left on your payoff for that loan. And then you get a second loan to make up the difference, or you pull the money out of your pocket cash to grab that super low interest rate.
They call that
Assumable mortgages, VA assumable mortgage. So please give us a call. We've already talked to the insurance company, we've already talked to the mortgage company for that particular house. They're ready to do this assumable loan. So we're just trying to find the right person. But you don't have to be a vet to buy this house. I'm not trying to say only vets can buy this house. That would be discriminatory. So anybody's interested, come check it out.
You do have to be eligible for a VA loan if you're going to assume the VA financing.
Yeah,
so you do have to qualify, right? You have to qualify for the mortgage obligations, whatever they end up being.
Yeah, the full asking price right now is $565. So you got to be able to afford a $565 house. Just take advantage of your veteran benefits by grabbing this super low interest rate. So it's like going back to I think they bought this house in 2019. No, they bought the house in 2020. So get those 2020 interest rates in 2023. That would be pretty nice. Right?
And you're going to disappoint your loan originator who you've been working with, by the way.
Mortgage guys,
there's no new loan written.
Mortgage people don't like talking about this. I was talking to a young agent up in Port St. Lucie. You work with Cam Post. He came and did a couple open houses for us. And I was telling Cam about how we're going to try to do this assumable. It blew his mind. He was like, wow, you could do that? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, my mortgage person hasn't mentioned that. I go, they're not going to. They don't like talking about this because they only get a fraction of the real mortgage. But
they're not going to get anything.
They'll get the second.
No, so you remember you said this servicer, I'm surprised by that, said they would take on the second. I don't know.
But that they don't have to.
No, yeah.
So you could go to somebody else.
You could.
Yeah. So a lot of mortgage guys are only going to get the second mortgage only. So that's why they don't talk about it a lot. But, this is a way to help our sellers and our buyers. So we do what we can to help people. Okay. Now, I want to go over some stats that we kind of went over last week, and I want to tell you, I thought this would be a fun way to do this, okay? So this is real stats, so we're not imagining anything, okay? So let me just read off a couple of things, and I'm going to ask you guys a question, okay?
And you do want to take the break at the bottom of the hour?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we got like 6 minutes
Yeah, I'll
to
keep
go
an eye
through
on it
this,
for you.
okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, okay? So, closed sales in Broward County. Now, this is the end of the year stats, okay? So it's going from December of last couple months ago, December 2022, looking back to December of 2021, okay? So sales are down, closed sales are down 43%. The amount of people paying cash is down 36%, okay?
Just so I get this straight in my head, Jim, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just want to make
You
sure.
always do this. and then I
No,
can't
are you
get through it.
comparing the total year, so 2021 compared to
telling you the
2022?
difference of December 2022 from a year earlier.
So just the
end of
December
the year
numbers.
stats. Yeah.
Just December versus December.
Yes, it's just December
Got it.
versus December, but it's kind of the end of the year stats because you're talking about December 31st to December 31st. Okay, so it's like the end of the year stats anyway, in a way. Right?
You say so.
Okay, so let's start over again. Okay, so let's start over again. Okay, so closed sales down 43%, paid in cash down 36%, dollar volume sold down 38%. Okay, a couple more. Let me see here. New pending sales year over year down 40%. New listings coming on the market down 16%. New pending inventory down 41%. So is that a seller's market or a buyer's market?
Sellers.
Okay.
Buyers.
Buyers, what do you think, Ross?
I think I'm going to say seller.
Seller. Okay, because median sales price up 6%.
And inventory is still down.
Right? So we have we have inventory go and that's the key.
Mhm.
So the thing is we have all these terrible negative numbers. Sales down 40%, 36% less cash buyers. We're all the New Yorkers, right? All this stuff, right? So everybody's freaking out.
Well, it sounds like terrible numbers until you talk about how high they were. It could only come down in a way, you know?
Well, I understand, but we're still up.
True.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. We're still up with
Yep.
all these. If these numbers, we had these numbers and a little bit worse when we first started this show, and we weren't seeing 6% appreciation at that point, right? We were not, right? Now, Palm Beach County. Okay, so Palm Beach County, closed sales down 37%, paid in cash down 29%, average sales price down 18% for the average sales price. Dollar volume down 48%. That means the amount of closed deals if you add up all the numbers, right? New pending sales down 34%. New listings down 17%. Pending inventory down 36%. Oh my God, right? Inventory increased by 300%. Actually,
Really?
190%. 190%.
Hold on, didn't
I
you
can't
just
read.
say
I
it went
can't read
down?
because my glasses
Those
lost. What?
Oh.
I'm sorry, Ross.
I thought the inventory went down. So.
Inventory went from inventory, right? That is confusing. We'll get in a second, okay? Because I understand where you're coming from. So with all those negative figures, appreciation 3.8%. Okay, so now Port St.
And that's
Lucie,
normal, by the way. That's normal.
right? That's a normal
appreciation.
year,
Yep.
right? So with all these terrible numbers, we're still at a normal year thing. So here's a couple of things you need to know. Okay, if you're a seller and you're saying this market sucks, I'm not going to put my house on the market because of the market. Not if you want to sell your house, but you're not selling it because you're afraid of the market's still good for you right now. When is it? I'm going to tell you when it's not good for you in a second. But this is still not a bad market for sellers. It's still a very good market for sellers. We have about 3 months of this is in December, and I expect when we get the stats in January, this is going to go up. But we have about 3 months of inventory. 3 months of inventory is not good, okay? Meaning that for buyers.
Yeah, still a seller's market
It's
at 3
still
months.
a very strong seller's market because you have to get past 6 months of inventory before it turns into a slight buyer's market. And by 9 months of inventory, you're in a strong buyer's market. So if you're a seller and you're sitting around on the fence going, I'm not doing anything because the market's bad, you're wrong. if you're doing it because of the market, because the market's still good.
Right.
If it's the question is, will it get better? That's the big question mark. I'm not sure on that. Okay. Now the buyers, right? The buyers like, well, this is a sucky market. I'm paying 6% interest rate. I'm in my 6s. I used to be in the 3s. Prices are still high. This is a really bad market. Well, that's not really true. It can be a bad market, okay, but I just went through houses, and I was doing some searches from people, and I was looking at 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes in all of Palm Beach County, single-family home. I didn't have down HOA. The only thing I took out was no membership equity. Other than that, if it was 55 and over, if it was an HOA, not an HOA, I broke it down. Check out some of these things I saw last night. Somebody was on the market 120 days. They started at 639.9. They had 3 price drops down to 579.9. And they closed. So that was the last listing price. And then they closed at 517.
Ooh.
Now think about that. They started
Wow.
at 640, right? So somebody bought that house for 500. It's in Royal Palm. They bought that house for $517,000. I saw multiple situations like this. I saw another house on the market. It started at 560s and it ended up closing at 430. Okay, over a period of 100 days.
I'm on the on your blast, right? I have my parameters set up in the areas. Well, I actually pretty vast on my area, but looking for very specific needs. There was a new listing that hit my email inbox the other day. And in the new listing verbiage, it said seller will consider concessions.
It's happening.
New listing. They're
Yep.
coming out the gates going,
Of course.
we'll take less.
That's a smart listing agent. They know how to get eyeballs on their listing.
Oh, yeah. They're going to get people involved.
There are still houses that are selling in 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. That still happens, but it's just as common to see houses on the market 150, 200. I was just looking at one of those 3-bedroom, 2-bath pool homes in one of the neighborhoods. It went in the La Mancha, right in this neighborhood, because I was doing comps. They started out. It's a much smaller home, but they started out in the mid-5s. They ended up closing at 430. Can you imagine? Imagine taking a listing at 550 and you're closing at 430.
Yeah.
I don't know how the agent could look the seller in the eye.
Tough.
And
I would hate to be that agent.
oh my God.
Now is that agent just saying, oh, we'll just throw it at the wall and see if it'll stick,
there's 2 reasons why this is happening. Some of the sellers are just so unrealistic right now because they think we're so living in June 2020 or October 2020
or June 2022.
Yeah, well, June 2022.
I mean, really?
No, by
Yeah.
then we were in the 5s and everything by June 2022.
Yeah.
So really, it was really 2021 was the strongest year.
As far as interest rates,
Yeah,
I was thinking about
yeah.
pricing. Let me ask you this, Jim. Is
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike. Let's
Oh.
go ahead because Johnny says it's time to do the break. So what's your question? We're going to answer it on the flip side.
well, I don't know.
Come
You
on.
made me forget it.
Ah,
We're
you
going to
ruined
talk
it.
about a couple of things that Ross talked about. He brought up some really good things about the market. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to round out the day with who's moving to Florida. You're going to be a little surprised.
Huh.
You're going to be surprised. There's some surprises in there.
I was going to ask you, is there savvy moves on the buy side where you can kind of target the properties that are in that state?
Yes, we're going to get it. That's a great question, Mike. And also Ross had great questions. We're going to get into that. On the flip side, we'll finish up what's happening in the market today. And then we'll go to who's moving to Florida.
Whew. And if you have great questions, you got time to do just that. 877-927-6969. Jim with you will line you up during the break. 4 minutes from now, we'll get back to it and possibly get you an answer to that question. Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is .com. That is your one-stop real estate shop. If you're not comfortable on the radio, I totally understand. Just remember, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Your access to the entire team. Pros. They're experts in their field. You get them all at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Back 4 minutes from now. Florida Talk Real Estate. It's right here. It's Real Radio.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jennifer Collins. Warm and breezy this afternoon with highs in the middle 80s and a chance for an isolated shower or two. A south wind between 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mild this evening with thunder showers possible until Sunday morning as a front arrives, then drier, cooler, and windy through Sunday.
This report is sponsored by InvisibleFence.com. With over 3 million pets protected and a 99% success rate, Invisible Fence brand's training works, and customers agree. A recent reviewer said, "The training made me feel like they were training our dog versus just running the playbook." Learn how they can help protect your pet at InvisibleFence.com.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DiPaola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1, and we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
I'll say it again, 877-927-6969. Got about 20 minutes remaining on this Saturday. If you do have a question, comment, concern, dial up. Our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy, will take that call there. And, of course, we'll get you on the air, hopefully get the answer you're looking for. Johnny C., that's me. Good morning to our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy. How are you, my brother?
Very good, thank you, and good morning.
Good morning to Ross Komarinetz, Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach.
Juno. Feels like I'm in Juno, Alaska. Man, freezing in here.
Yeah.
We are broadcasting back in the Real Radio Meat Locker.
And this is actually one of the warmer studios, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. It is definitely keeping us alert for sure. Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm, he's with us on a Saturday. Hello.
I sure am. And I have some news. My mom was listening and she texted. She said, that was very helpful. You're the best. Now, I don't know who she meant the you're the best to, whether it was me or to you, Johnny.
Probably.
But I'll just say it was for you.
Yeah, probably me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Jim, she didn't mention you.
Yeah, of course not.
That's par for the course, huh?
Oh, wow. Touche.
No, I'm glad. No, it's really good information. It's so confusing out there with the roofing stuff. If you missed the segment, just go back and listen to our reruns. You can catch them on our Facebook page. You can catch them on our YouTube page. You could also go to the iHeartMedia app if you just want to listen to the audio. You could go there to the iHeartMedia app and just all three. Just Google Florida Talk Real Estate. Go to the most recent show. iHeartMedia app, I think it has over 500 hours of our shows. So
Nice.
if you ever get bored, go over there and go ahead and
If you're
check
having
it out.
trouble sleeping.
Yeah, there you go. For those that don't know, those are the sweet melodious tones of Jimmy D, Jim DiPaola with the Keller Williams Innovations, the Florida Home Pros team. Hello, Jimmy D.
Sorry about that. I keep forgetting about the intro. And we know of a lot of like people that work overnight, truckers, or love our show for some reason, and they're just driving around. I just haven't imagined all these people driving around listening to our show on truckers. So
my UPS guy listens.
yeah, do they? That's
Yeah.
awesome. So that stuff's there for you 24/7, and we're not just a live show from 9 to 11, although we love being here every Saturday for our real radio audience, 92.1 and 101.7. So thank you so much for supporting us through the years. Okay, another quick stat about changes in the MLS market, and I'm so happy about this stat. It's going to sound pretty brutal. 40,000 real estate agents in Florida. Poof, they're gone since January 1st. We lost 40,000 agents in Florida January 1st. I am so happy. Okay, I'm so
we
happy.
have that many to lose. That's insane.
Oh, we have way more than that, Johnny. We have gobs and gobs more to go.
You think about, like you said, so basically December sales of 2022 were almost half of what they were in December 2021, which means the volume is down. Agents who maybe had deals that December didn't have deals this most recent December. And so what, they didn't renew? Is that what that January 1st?
The average
stat
agent in Florida, according to the real estate tax stats I've seen, the average agent in Florida does between 8 to 12 deals a year. Now, that was during one of the strongest markets ever in the history of Florida real estate.
And you can actually make a living
if you
doing
have-
8 deals a year, right?
Well-
like you can, that's good income for.
It depends on the price point, and it depends on the splits at your brokerage and costs. If you're doing 8 $1 million properties a year, yeah, you're making a nice salary. If you're doing 8 $200,000 a year, you're not making very much. Okay, so the average agent in Florida does 8 to 12 deals a year, a deal a month, or even less than a deal a month, 3/4 of a deal a month. So if the sales are down 40%, that means there's a lot less opportunities for you to do a deal. And most of the people don't treat their real estate business like a business. They treat it like, I don't want to work for somebody else and I want to work less hours. And that's why they become an agent. And really, that's who you want to hire to be somebody that's going to deal with the most expensive purchase or sale in probably your lifetime.
Right.
We don't believe that. That's why we created the One Stop Real Estate Shop, and we talk in depth about all this stuff, and we're on the cutting edge of letting you know what's going on in the market. So 40,000 agents gone. I'm so happy. I've been waiting for that day. We've had more agents in Florida than ever, even before the last boom of 06. That's when we had the most agents up until last year. And then last year we surpassed that. Now we're losing them all again because, you actually have to work for a living now. And I always call myself the blue collar real estate agent because I actually work for a living. I don't just sit around. I actually work for the living. And when we put a house on the market, we don't let the MLS sell it. We sell it, which reminds me, open house today, 297 Ponce de Leon Street, Royal Palm Beach. Paul Lyken's going to be there from the Keller Williams Innovation Office. Thank you so much, Paul, for calling in earlier today. Beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, pool home. CBS Construction, impact windows, recently renovated almost throughout 2019, 2020. Got to check it out. 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. 297 Ponce de Leon Street.
Is
in,
that
in a very desirable Royal Palm neighborhood.
Very much
La
so.
Mancha, and it's a AAA rated school system. Your kids can walk to one of the schools over there. Great parks all around you, and Royal Palm's just a great place to live. So
It is. Yeah, I can vouch for that for sure. Is that address on the Facebook page and FloridaTalkRealEstate.com?
it is. Thank you, Johnny.
Okay.
Yes, Facebook and I don't know about the Florida Talk Real Estate page. That's kind of under construction. You can still contact us through there, but we're revamping that whole
Gotcha.
website. It's pretty sucky.
But the
So
address, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook.
yes,
Okay.
you go there. Okay, so just wrapping up the market real quick because I want to get to who's moving to Florida. A couple things. Ross mentioned about inventory. So you're right. So here's a couple of things. Remember how I was mentioning these huge price drops for some of these houses, 640 down to 517 closed, 550 down to 430 closed.
100+ days on market.
100+ days on market. I just looked at one where it just went under contract in that, I think it was the Intercoastal condo. And it was I can't remember which house it was. I just went and did a comp for somebody. And it was on the market 211 days before it went under contract. And there was that huge $100,000 drop in price, right? Which are a couple of things. It isn't happening all the time. So buyers can't expect that's going to happen with every property. In fact, it's not going to hardly happen with almost any property. You have to have the right agent to go out there and look. Cam, one of the agents I was just talking to you about, he told me yesterday that he had a house on the market for $469 and his first offer was $325. And they wanted every stick of furniture in the house, which wasn't offered in the listing. Right? Now that he held tight and he got two much better offers after that. But people are throwing in those, $150,000 less than list price because some buyers think that's what's happening in the market. It can happen, but getting back to Mike's question, are there ways to find those deals? Yes, there are. And there's tips on how you go about finding those kind of properties where you can get those huge discounts. I'm not going to go over them all over the air, but when you have an agent that knows what they're doing, they're going to be looking for those all the time. But if the house is on the market 5 days, 7 days, 10 days on the market, and it's on the prices at 550, you're probably not going to get a 430 accepted, even if that's what eventually they're going to do 120 days later.
You just got to wait for the 100 days.
Well, not just wait the 100 days, but you got to feel out the listing agent. There's a lot of weak listing agents out there who will give you way more information than really I would give. Yeah, than I would give. And if you ask the right questions, sometimes you pop up stuff that really helps out a lot. And so this market isn't, everybody thinks this is a bad market. This is not a bad market. We're in a normalizing market. Now, we're still seeing price appreciation. We just went through all those stats. And even with all those terrible stats, sales volume down, cash buyers down, pending sales down, pending inventory, everything down. But prices, price appreciation up, not up compared to a lot from many, from 18 months ago.
Yeah,
but
it's not
still,
double-digit appreciation.
But
Yeah,
we're still
closer to
seeing
normal.
appreciation,
Yeah.
not depreciation. Now,
If you're a potential seller buyer, Jim, do you need to be concerned? Like, okay, so on the buy side, you've targeted one of these better deals, right? It's been sitting. You watch it. You get what you feel is a fair price. Then you need to turn around and sell. Do you need to be worried that your house is going to sit on the market for that length of time?
Well, when people ask me that, all I could tell them was my experience directly. Like if you hire me, and what I can tell you is, and this is being very transparent. And when you sit down with me, if you sit down with a listing appointment, I open up my stats and show you what I talk about on the air. And that's what a lot of people are surprised about. It's like what I say on the air, I actually back up with the stats when I get there, right? But the thing is, my houses, I'm knocking on wood here, you can hear it, okay? The houses I've been putting on the market, the condos, the townhomes, the houses I've been putting on the market, I haven't gotten less than 98% of list price to sold price, and nothing's taken more than day 40, right? Well, maybe 42, 43. But 40 days on market's the long time for me so far. And this is over the last 3 months when interest rates hit 7.08%.
Yeah.
And until today, we're still at 98%. And the reason why is we know how to price the property. I was just talking to this guy yesterday.
That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, well, it means you're doing it right.
Yeah, you have to know what's going on in
Yep.
the market and be realistic based. And what you really got to do, you got to be really honest about your house compared to the competition. And what you really got to focus on is the most recent sales and the most recent pendings, because that's what went under contract. So the buyers had all these or had choices. And out of those choices, these are the ones they picked and these are the ones they chose not to pick. And you got to see where your house compares to those groups of things. And you really got to look at it that way and be brutally honest about it. Right now, Robert, there's a guy called me up. Robert sounds like a really great guy. He wants to sell his house, but not until this summer. I told him it's really important that he knows everything before this summer because the market's changing so dramatically. And he's going to be moving out of the area and he doesn't want to sell his house until he clears it out and it's empty, right? He feels that's best for his family. So he really grilled me one day. He's a really nice guy, but he was asking me in a lot of different ways, well, what do you think my house is worth? What do you think my house is worth? And I said, I can't really tell you until I get out there. I can tell you what's happening in your neighborhood, but I can't tell you on your house until I get there. And he goes, well, I talked to another agent before I called you. And this is how the agent kind of told him on the phone because Robert kept asking, I'm sure he kept asking the agent just like he was asking me, what's my house worth? So the agent mentioned to him, well, one of the units in your area is on the market for $499 and the other one's on the market for $439. So you're probably going to be somewhere in between. And then he goes, so what do you think my house is worth? And I still wouldn't tell him. So the next day I spent like 45 minutes and I really did crunch the numbers without seeing his house. And I made a video. And then the video was it was a screen recording of the MLS. And then I gave him the link of the stuff I used to make the video. And he seems pretty impressed so far. He's like, wow, you gave me more information than anybody else that I've talked to about this. And I go, of course, that's what I do. That's what I'm known for, is giving you, because you know why? Information is power. Knowledge is power when you're doing this. And it's such a different market. You don't know what's happening. That's why you need the expert in there to kind of guide you as to how to do this.
So was the other agent right?
No, the other agent was
between
so
those two
wrong.
numbers?
That's one of the things I said in the video, and I talked to Robert yesterday about this. What I found out is in this situation, Robert's house is the smallest unit that's going to have sold in that neighborhood going back 2 years. Okay. So the square footage is going to be very important.
Can you turn that into a feature?
Actually, maybe. Because the location of where he is might be a little superior to all the other ones. And the other thing is he has a 2-car garage, and a lot of them don't have any garage that I'm comparing it to, or have a 1-car. And that could be very crucial, and it could give him the square footage bump he needs. So you have to be very creative on this and figure it all out. But that's the difference between the other agent and me. Is the other agent was like just
guessing.
Yeah, he was talking out of his butt because the person wanted an answer. And instead of being honest with them and say, let me do my research and give you the right answer, they just threw out an answer. Then he actually said to me, and this is what I thought was funny. He gave me another agent, and I don't remember why, but he gave me another agent and said, this is what the other agent was saying. So I said, let me look her up. So, and I never know what's going to happen to this because I don't know the agents, right? So I looked up the agent. This agent was talking like they really understood everything and all this, right? In the last 12 months, she's done 3 transactions. She closed 2 deals. One of them was on 120 days before they sold, and it sold for like $80,000 less than what she had it listed for. And then she has this other house in that neighborhood that's on the market, and it's been on the market for a while. And I'm like, that person's acting like they're an expert. They've done 3 transactions in 12 months, and 2 of them are in the market a very long time. And I'm doing nearly 100 transactions with a very small staff a year. And I'm telling you, I don't know because I want to do the research first. Who do you think is really going to give you the real information to get your house sold?
Right. It's not I can't know, or it's unknowable. It's just like, give me some time to figure it out.
Yeah. And give you the right answers so that you can do the right thing and not. But here's the reality of this, and this is why people overlist their house that Ross was kind of asking about earlier, about like 640 down to 517. I'm still stunned by that number. Okay. There's two reasons for that. Number one, sellers don't know what's happening in the market, and they're going to put it on the market because they don't want to, quote, sell their house low ball. And they don't care what's happening in the market. They just want what they want. Okay. And it's very hard to get them to agree to realistic prices. The other reason is because the agents are so desperate for listings because there's a 40% drop in sales that they're just going to take it. So if Johnny comes to me and goes, I don't care if everything's selling for 525, I want 640. And then I'm like, okay. And then I just sign the document with you, because in my mind, there's two things that are going to happen. Number one, I'm going to get buyers if I advertise the property right. So if I never sell Johnny's house, I'm thinking I'm going to have at least some buyers out of this, and they're going to be at a higher price point. They're going to be at 640 because that's why they're coming to look, right? So I'm going to get some buyers out of this. So if Johnny just sits there and languishes, he's actually a lead generator for me. And Johnny has no idea that some agents will take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. Other realtors are just going to go, well, we're going to do it. I know he's never going to get the price, and eventually he'll cave in and he's going to drop the price, and I'm finally going to sell it what we need to sell it for. But those agents are really hurting Johnny, because if Johnny goes through that pain, the reason why I believe that that house sold for 517 when it ultimately was listed at 579 from a 640 down to 579 is because once you get to the right, if you're that off at the beginning and you keep dropping your price, once you get to the real market value of that neighborhood, you're never going to get it.
Yeah, you're kind of looked at as damaged goods.
Yeah,
in
you
some
damaged
sense,
your
right?
property.
Yeah.
In my opinion, okay? You damaged property, you're never going to get it. So that's why you got to know your numbers before you put it on the market. So if you have questions about buying a house today in today's market, you want a deal, or if you're thinking about selling, or you're a seller buyer, and I'm talking to a lot of those people right now, please give us a call. I'd love to give you a free consultation and figure out what's best for you.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. Go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
So let's talk about who's moving to Florida. So what demographic group do you think is the number one group in Florida right now that's moving to Florida? Everybody's going to say the same thing.
Cold people. Age?
Cold people's good. What did you say?
You talking age?
Where they're from, not age. Where they're coming from. That's a good question, John.
What's your the default is Northeast?
Always.
Yeah.
Try to be more specific.
Oh, geez.
Northeast is kind of too generic.
It's New York. All these New Yorkers coming down here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I was waiting for the New Yorkers. You guys are slacking. I was waiting for the New Yorker comment because that's what everybody says, right? I'm sorry. I'm looking here. Hold on. I'm looking for the
definitely Jersey. Definitely.
Rhode Island.
Nice.
Rhode Island, huh? I haven't heard that one in a while. Hold on. Where is? I'm sorry. I'm looking.
Just keep
for
throwing.
here.
Keep
throwing stuff
Because
out.
if like 3 people move from Rhode Island, like that's like 40% of the population, right?
It's
so we're going by percentage of population that's moving or actual.
Okay. So let me help you out. Maybe I'm not.
Put us out of our misery.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just start off on this. Over the last 2 years, Florida has been the number one place for increase in population of all 50 states.
Boom.
We're number one. How much population increase for the state of Florida did we get? 1.9%, right? That's the biggest increase in any state for population growth.
And we've been steady too.
And that's not because of birth rates.
Steady.
No, this is people coming in from other areas. This isn't growth that way.
Right.
So this is people coming from other areas and changing their driver's licenses. I should say that the Palm Beach Post went and did an analysis, or they got a press release from somebody that did an analysis of where people are coming from, and the way they're determined, and that is that they're dumping their old driver's license and getting a new driver's license down here. So what we've got is Florida in general, we had a 1.9% increase, and we had about an extra 583,000 people in the whole state of Florida come down here, right? 500,000.
Where'd they come from?
They all came to Palm Beach County too.
Well, that's kind of surprising on that. Here's the thing. In Florida, everybody thinks New York's it, right? But you'd have to combine New York, New Jersey, and California. You'd have to combine all three. Are we almost out of time? You have to combine all three in order to equal this one demographic or geographic location group. So New York, New Jersey, and California, all those people that moved to Florida,
Ohio.
there's one demographic that equals those three states.
What is it?
What is it?
Foreign country.
Canada?
No, foreign country, just foreign country.
China.
Anybody, any part of
the world.
So there's
The world.
more, right? The world beats out New York by far. 61,000 people have moved from New York to Florida. Foreign country, 115,000. Are you saying
I
wrap it
gotta
up?
go. Yeah, Florida Talk
I had,
Real Estate is a .com.
I didn't know.
Remember
I
it,
didn't know
know it, use it, love it, and share it. Jimmy D, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Mike Rao, have a great weekend as well.
Oh, you too, Johnny.
Great to have
Thank
you with us. And Ross, thanks for joining us in studio. Bring a jacket next time.
Absolutely. Good to see everybody.
Locker Room is next. Stick around. Florida Talk Real Estate back at it next Saturday. It's 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday right here on Real Radio.